I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we adopt tonight's agenda, there was a clerical error under the action items consent agenda. D, certified personnel action, that was not included on the agenda page, but it was included in your board packet, so we'll add that there.
I move that we amend tonight's agenda and reflect item D.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt and amend tonight's agenda, adding D, certified personnel action under approving the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is guest presentations, and I think that's JK Baseball Association, so you guys are up.
Okay. Thank you guys for having us. Thanks for taking the time to hear us out too. My name is Brian Neese. For those of you I haven't met, I know some of you. Here representing the JK Baseball Association, and I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about our baseball field light program. I'll get into details on what we're actually asking, but first I want to highlight some things, some reasons that Kyle and I and all of us think that this is so important. So go ahead, Kyle.
As you guys know, baseball in Kendrick to me is an incredible thing. I'm the head baseball coach. We are currently making leaps and bounds in the direction that our program is headed. And I had the opportunity as a high school player to play in a program in Boise that was the beacon of where everything was measured by. And my passion and drive is to make sure that our program in Kendrick is the standard that everything is held to for our size of baseball in the community. And we are going to get there one way or another, and we're going to take the time and develop young men into that. One of the big things that we're excited about is the fact that we are in the process of getting lights. The association has worked incredibly hard to bring something that those poles that have been sitting there for so long to a spot where we are looking. We are going to get lights on. We had lights delivered already, so we have lights on the ground. And that's a process that pretty much started a year ago and is coming to fruition right now. Having lights for our field is going to benefit us in a number of ways. One of the biggest things that I see about getting us to that community beacon at a place that our community can be proud of is simply being able to get people to our games. Currently, we play at 4 o'clock in the afternoon simply because we need to be able to get the game in before it gets dark. And that is incredibly difficult for both parents and community members to come out and to support us and to experience baseball and the way we do baseball and as something that they can be proud of. And so having the lights and that project completed is going to allow us to push game times back, to actually play the second half of our games underneath the lights at a time when parents and fans can actually get there. Another huge thing that it's going to allow us to do is down the road. Currently, we're struggling to find tournaments that we feel like kind of meet our competition level. We want to be playing up as much as possible. We want to be the small team that ends up playing the big boys in every tournament, and to get there, having the ability for us to host the tournament and to put out the invites and try to get those higher level teams to come and play us. On our field, where we're at the elevation that lets us onto our field a lot earlier than other people can get there, we have an opportunity to do that. To be able to put a tournament together like we'd like, we really need to have lights and be able to play later into the evening. And then just seeing those things completed, I think it's going to be an amazing thing for our program and just for excitement moving forward.
And one more thing on that.
Yeah.
The kids now getting released at sometimes 12:30. This will allow them to stay in school a little while too. So.
For home games, we've got kids. I think they're missing their last period of the day just to make sure that we get them in time to be able to warm up and hit and do all that. And that's for our home games. that we're having to miss school. That's not even counting the times where we have to go to like CV and stuff like that, where we're having to leave at noon or something. But so being able to have kids in school for a full day and then have all the preparation needed to be able to play will be beneficial for, I think, everybody involved.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so here's where we sit. You guys, everybody here has seen those polls. You've heard all the light stories, and so I'm going to keep it really short on that. I'm not going to go over how we got here, but this is where we're at. Last year we went, we made a really hard push. We pushed our light fund from $2,000 to $41,000 with the goal of having lights up by the 2025 season. That was all fundraisers. Their community, huge support from the community, and all donated money. We had a target of $40,000 based on a bid that we had. We thought we had met that goal. We went in and purchased the lights, only to find out that the amount of illumination was insufficient. It was about half of what the high school recommendation is for a high school field. So we did a little legwork, found another supplier. We got up to a level that will be adequate to play under, with the intention over the long term of adding lights until we get to that. The recommendation is 50 foot candles in the infield and 30 in the outfield. We're at 40 and 20. We want to get to that 50-30. We're going to go ahead and put the lights up at a level we can work with, and then add to it. That's where you guys come in. Here's what we'd like to ask. We have a bid here for the. First of all, we have what we've paid. That's our total that we paid for the lights. We've got one here for $83,69.70. That will purchase the remaining 6 lights required to bring us up to that 50-30 level. We've also got a bid here for the wiring to do that for $28,17.74. If you guys can find it in your budget and help us out with this, we would not have to ask for another dollar ever from our community for these lights. We could put it behind us and get it done. So that's what we're asking.
And I do want to bring up the point that adding those 6 extra lights, CV just did their lights. That'll, by us adding those 6 extra lights, that's going to put our facility on a higher footing than theirs. So, that matters to me, but that puts us in a better spot. So I think that matches our facility, and we currently have the best facility in 2A baseball in the entire state, and this makes us even better.
So, anybody have any questions?
So you're asking for the $83,69?
Plus the $28,17.74. Kendall, do you have those, right?
Yeah, it's about $11,000.
Yeah, that gets us the remaining 6. The 24 original that you see on the purchase sheet, the one that's stapled, that's the original one that we just paid for that got delivered this afternoon to Brian. And the remaining 6 would put us.
I was going to bring one in to show, but
And then that wiring bid from CED was with the new lights upgraded. That would be with everything there, and that gets us a good start as to gets all the supplies needed that they say we need. Obviously, you know how it goes. We'll need more at that point, I'm sure, when we start digging and getting it in the ground. But
we've got some cushion for that.
no, but we have that already.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, public comment, I think that would be Mr. Fry. Who was past Troy board member, if I can, right?
Yes. Superintendent Kirkland, board, thank you for letting me come and give a few minutes. So I'm running for Lake County Sheriff. My name is James Fry. 13 years on the Troy School Board. I know what you guys are doing, trying to do every day, and I do commend that. You have a lot of dedication to your community, and sometimes it's a thankless dedication, but I do appreciate it. So, what I bring to the table is, if I get elected as sheriff, is I have been where you sit, and I understand some of your struggles, and I want to work very hard at trying to get a second school resource officer. You know, Genesee just got their own. You know, we were just talking about what are you going to do in a school all day long, a small school. I think we can spread the SROs out. If we get a second one, we can have them in every school for a couple hours, at least a day. And at offsetting times, you know, we don't ever want a tragedy to happen here. You know, the incident that I dealt with in Moscow with the Idaho 4, I do have some experience now with the national press. And what I offer to you is this: if something ever does happen, I'll come down and help you, even if I'm not the sheriff. It's awful, to be quite honest. But we need to try to prevent as much as we can. You know, we're not immune to anything. So I want to try to work towards that. But if not, if I can't get a second SRO, I'd like to have at least a workstation where a deputy could come in as they're patrolling, eat lunch, do a report, meet the kids. But I think we also need to be very careful who we select as our school resource officers. I think they can be just as detrimental as good. So we need to pick the right personality. And we started doing that at the University of Idaho when we would put officers up there. And once we started picking the officers because of their personalities, things went a lot better, our relationships got a lot better. And I do want to build relationships with you. I care about all of the small communities. You know, I've lived in Troy for 24 years. I grew up in Council, Idaho. I know what small town is all about. And I know each community has its own struggles, right? And they're unique. One of the other things I'm going to do is try to create a cares group where maybe we have 15 to 20 people in each community that really care about their community. And I want to bring me and the command staff in every 3 to 4 or 5 months and find out what your little problems are. Because if we can solve the little problems, it'll help with not letting them get to a big problem. So I have a lot of stuff I'd like to change and do that I think will help benefit. But I just wanted to, number one, just let you get to know who I am. And I appreciate your time. I'm not going to take any more. You're like, I know we got a short agenda. We can be out of here in 15 minutes. I understand that. But I do appreciate all you're doing. Like I said, 13 years was a long time. Mr. Parks, I don't know how you do it, but I commend you because you're hanging in there for how many years?
Over 20.
Over 20. Well, great job. And like I said, I appreciate your time. And if I do get elected, you will see me again, and we'll start developing some plans to build some relationships and try to make Kendrick even better than it is. Do you have any questions for me?
I got one.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, and it's before the present sheriff, we had an incident out here where, you know, people don't think, and this lady and her son were training with AR-15s and run by the school. And they did it once, and we had everybody down here from Latah County Sheriff's Office. And then I thought that was in, and then they did it again. And I went up and talked to the sheriff, and he was really, oh, well, maybe I'll go talk to him. I mean, it wasn't that helpful.
So there's not going to be a, oh, well, maybe I'll go talk to him. We will go talk to him because, number one, we need to tell people, okay, that's inappropriate. You don't need to be jogging by. There's certain things that, you know, 25 years ago, everybody rolled into school with rifles in their trucks and shotguns in their trucks. Those days are gone, unfortunately. So if that happens, call me, please. I'll go personally talk to the people. And we'll get something in place where it doesn't happen again. And if they do it again, then we're going to figure out how to address the problem because there's something not going on right there. So
that issue and the other issue that I kind of worry about is the end of the school here and being so close to the road. And I don't know what you do about that.
Well, I think you know,
if the windows are open, I mean, if the shades are up,
I know
you're right there.
Yeah. But unfortunately, even Troy's school was a newer school, and we didn't build it for what's going on in our world today. There's some things that I think we did do at Troy, though. We put some one-way film up where that you can see out, but they can't see in. Maybe some little safety things like that. But we can come in and do an assessment on stuff like that too, and I'd be more than happy to do that. There are some things we can create, but we didn't build these for what literally is happening. And we do. I know that Troy and even I think Moscow, everything's locked down during the day. They get buzzed in, and I'm assuming that same thing happens here. But the biggest thing is we have to get to the point where we train our students and we train our teachers and we train our staff that if you see something that's out of place, say something. This isn't the days anymore where we can just go, oh, well, I think that was kind of weird. But just like the people jogging by, it's hunting season, right? Some guy might walk by with a rifle and you think, okay, he's just hunting, but is it? We don't know. But we don't want to be paranoid either in law enforcement. We want to be able to roll in. We want to do it professionally. We want to be able to, because they have the right as Americans to bear arms, and we want to protect that right too. But we can do it professionally, and I think we can talk to the people. And if we do it right, everything will turn out good. Now, if we do it wrong, well, been there too. So, but I think we build some relationship. We use some education, and we'll try to do what we can. Even just the. I think are they putting flashing lights down here. I was at a city council meeting where they were talking about. I think they're going down to this point, which will help slow traffic down at least, because that's one of my greatest fears too, is getting a kid hit. And my thing is, why do we not have deputies out in school zones every morning if we have enough available? Typically, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. So there's just some things that I'd like to try to promote. And it's not because we did it that way in Moscow, but every time we would have an incident across the nation, let's say like the Georgia shooting, I would have an officer and command and myself at every school door that morning. Because usually, if it happened back in the East, we had that time period, and we'd have it. And what parents said was that made us feel comfortable, at least that you were there waiting for us when we got there. And I think stuff like that needs to happen. Our community needs to see us in law enforcement during those times when something's happened across our nation, to be present and show our that we're here to protect. So,
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you.
thank you. I appreciate your time, and like I said, I commend you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, number 5 is the actual items of the consent agenda. I'll let you guys look over the bill. moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda, which includes the addition of the certified personnel action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Informational reports, financial reports.
Small one this month, just our ICCU checking account balances for the district in each school. Our LGIP balances, as of today, we still haven't received, I believe it was supposed to be about 75% of the school modernization facilities funds. We still haven't received that, but the LGIP account is open and ready. I guess to circle back to ICCU, we decided at the high school level we're going to open a CD. One of the scholarship accounts has asked, it's a pretty large account, it's almost $10,000, and it's just sitting in ICCU, not growing any interest, so they requested that we throw it in a CD. So I spoke with Jenny Ford at ICCU today, and they're going to get that for us tomorrow. We'll transfer that money to that CD for them. So you'll start, I don't know if we'll include that on the financial report or not, but anyways, there will be a CD opened under the high school account. Attached is the budget update as of September 30th. And then I completed our transportation reimbursement claim. I mentioned last meeting I had submitted it, and we're projected to receive about $170,000. The transportation SDE department goes in and makes some adjustments on what they believe is not reimbursable when I requested reimbursement for it, and so there's always a little bit of change, but we should see about $170,000 come in on that.
Any questions for Kendall? Let's go to the technology director's report.
Okay, the doors from CompuNet have been completed at both the elementary and the high school. We filed for our Category 2 reimbursement from the project from the summer, and then I had also attended the regional E-rate training that they had in Lewiston. We just got done with our first IC upload of the year, which was a lot of fun, he says with great sarcasm. The other one was the Idaho Division of Career Technical Education contacted me to ask to have me help revise, be part of the group that is helping to revise the network support standards for the CTE track that they have. And that working group is made up of industry and post-secondary and secondary institutions. And so what I'm trying to do in that regard is kind of bring the voice of the small rural school districts to this track. There's a tremendous need for people in the IT fields, but there's a lack of qualified instructors, and the cost of the programs make it extremely prohibitive. And currently in Region 2, only the Diatley Center in Lewiston is the only one offering any of these kind of courses. And so I'm trying to work with CTE as we rewrite these to, because they haven't been touched since 2015, and obviously a lot has changed since then. And so we're trying to figure out a way that, you know, we can potentially offer courses like that, you know, cybersecurity, networking, the IT career fields. I've talked with a number of folks in Region 2 about this exact problem, And everyone pretty much says the same thing, they don't have any qualified staff to be able to teach the courses. And the only qualified staff you would have end up being the IT guys for the district, and all of us are not certified teachers. So, it makes it a little difficult. And then on the CTE aspect on that, so the Moscow School District came down and they took a look at our podcasting video studio, and they basically copied exactly what we had. And the CTE director ordered all that stuff, and they finally got it all in, and he asked if I would come up and help them get it all set up and get things going. So we're in the process of getting that, helping them out with that. So kudos to Mrs. Hadley for all of her hard work in getting this going, getting the grants written and all the rest of that stuff. So other districts are seeing what we're doing and the results of it. So it's inspiring to see that from us. And then there's the usual work that goes on day to day around here. So if anybody's got any questions.
Any questions for Dan? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
JHS Principal Report, there's this.
Yep, Roy's at a training that she sent this over for you to take with you.
Okay, Superintendent's Report.
Okay, for the high school, our enrollment right now is at 135. Our students of the month in the category of, actually I didn't update that. Category was,
Awesome.
no, it actually was something different. Work ethic, I think is what it was, best work ethic. Elizabeth Heyer and Caleb Olson were the winners there. Discipline report is there as well. Attendance for the junior high is at 96.5, high school is 93.5 for the month of September, which is up a little bit from the last couple of years at the same time. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here coming up. In athletics, Kendall completed an application for grants through ICCU for new athletic scoreboards and a new gym score table. We've not heard anything from that, right? Yep. Apply Idaho Day was held on October 8th. Seniors applied for the Idaho schools using the Apply Idaho application. So with that application, you can submit one application and it goes to 8 Idaho schools. And it's free too, so it's nice. Mr. Eggers facilitated that event and also helped them apply for scholarships that are Idaho specific, like Idaho Launch and the Opportunity Scholarships that the universities have. End of quarter is this week and conferences are next week, so we're moving along. The fall concert will be held next week on Wednesday. Board members are of course invited to attend that. And that's our fall credit, dual credit report. We've got 155 total credits being offered this semester with the breakdown there with science, English, and a few miscellaneous online classes. For the district, our facility funding, our 10-year plan was submitted and approved. I was told today that we can expect that money 70 to 80% towards the end of next week. Attendance, like I said earlier, we're making a push for better attendance. So Mr. Eggers attended an attendance conference, I don't know what I would call it, training in Coeur d'Alene, 2-day thing, and just for strategies to increase attendance, because over the last quite a few years, even before COVID, attendance started to decline. And we used to, I remember when I started at Kendrick, our goal was 96%. Like if we got 96, we were doing pretty good. But we settled for 95. Now, we haven't seen 95 in years. Like we're not even close to that. It's 92, 93. And that's everywhere. So, I mean, that's why the state's having conferences specifically related to attendance. And so, we are just trying to be systematic in just getting the word out, the importance of attendance, because we see the correlation here with attendance and performance and graduation and all of these things. But, you know, outside of here, you know, people may not see that connection as easily. So we are doing 1 to 3 social media things that Kendall does at the beginning of every month. We are rewarding classes with the highest attendance each month. And we're just making it a little bit of a competition. Even if the older kids don't necessarily get motivated by ice cream once a month, even if we have 2 or 3 classes that buy into it, that's okay, that's pretty good. If we can increase our attendance by 1%, that's our goal. So we planned on, I think, like 93% or so,
Yeah.
somewhere around there in the budget. If we can increase it by 1%, that's a good start. So we're doing that. Students in Mrs. Hadley's classes just finished today designing banners that we're going to rotate in the hall, hanging up a different banner each month or so, just related to attendance and the importance of that, just to keep reiterating that. So we're tracking that very closely. We're looking pretty much weekly at what our attendance looks like. And so far it's been pretty good. We have kids, like for example, we had a family email us today and say, my son's gonna be gone tomorrow, but he doesn't wanna miss more than 2 periods, because he knows that 5 periods equals a full day. And so they were coordinating with the office on how to not be marked absent in more than 2 periods in order to get that full day of attendance. And so we know that people are thinking about it when we put out information. And so we're just, I think we've designed basically some steps that are easy to follow, and we can just stick with it month to month, and it's not huge, but I think it'll be valuable.
So is the 1%, the 17,000, is that just the high school? Is that?
Nope, that's district-wide. So when I did our salary-based apportionment for the budget, I did 93%. Then I recalculated it at 92% and 94%, and it's a difference of about $17,000.
So that's district.
The district, yep.
That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any trustee reports?
I have 2 things. One, well, they're both simple. One, I had some staff members come up and thank us for the raises they got, some classified staff, and asked them to pass that along to the board. They were thankful for that. And then the other one, Steve handed me this packet. But I was the one that was being nosy, and I asked Amy for information about that bus barn lease, and I'm sure we've all read the packet that came out. That we actually own a fair amount of that property down there. And that's all I was interested in.
The interesting thing is that the board was having the same conversation 24 years ago.
Yeah, 24 years ago. The other thing that I thought was interesting, and this might matter more to me as a law student, but there's a reversionary interest in the deed. So if we walk away from the property, it goes back to the city. So we don't get to sell the asset. So, which I thought was an interesting.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, for us. So, I mean, not that we're doing anything with it, but I was just, I was just curious. And so Steve made me help, gave the information out. So.
But like half of where they park the buses now is city property and half school property, basically.
Yeah, outside the building. So we own the building, the land under the building. And
It's a small, very small portion.
they own a small portion, the city does, and then I think some of it is actually a street. If you look at how the lines, it kind of makes like an L, or I'm not gonna say a gun, but it's an L. I mean, the street's wider in one spot. If you look at the flat map that came out in the packet. Not that I know that, I don't know if that matters for what we're doing with it, but.
Interesting.
But now we know.
Yeah, now we know. And maybe in 20 years we'll have the same conversation.
I don't know.
Oh, you're stuck here, Todd.
Let's proceed to the action items. Agenda item 7A, which is to rescind policy 5482, leadership premiums. Leadership premiums don't exist anymore, so we don't need a policy.
I'll make a motion to rescind policy 5480, leadership premiums.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we rescind policy 5480, leadership premiums. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then the next next item is to adopt policy 3294, names, pronouns, and titles. Yeah, this is, we don't have to adopt this policy, this is a recommended policy. We had the first reading last month, so it's up for adoption. What do you guys want to do?
That information under discussion is directly from the ISB update. So I just copy and pasted that on there.
I'll make a motion that we adopt policy 3297, names, pronouns, and titles.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt policy 3297. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then, is there any board member input for future items?
Is more of a question, are we wanting to pursue talking about this is the least thing, the lights? Because that would probably be.
Yeah, I think Steve should, investigate that and come up with a plan.
Well, I think when we talked about it before, and I think we talked about it before, I think the way they presented it was probably the only way to do it when we're buying like actual items.
Donating it.
It looks better to buy the items than to just give money to the association if we were going to do that.
That's fine.
Doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, I can look into it a little bit further and
Put it on the agenda for next meeting.
I could come up with some funding possibilities for it too, where the money could come from if I wanted to proceed to.
That would probably be, because we can say yay or nay next month if it's going to go on, and then it'd be nice to kind of have an idea where we can pull from.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because I didn't want to leave them hanging, like we didn't even go forward or not. Kind of give them some sort of response.
Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?